We are the Game Nashville Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a cloudy, for the moment, cold Friday afternoon. Get ready, because around midnight, all of a sudden the rain moves in, and they're talking like 100% chance of rain. And at least last night they were saying 3 to 5 inches over the weekend, which would be a ton. But I'll just say it this way. It's going to rain. So while you're stuck in the house tomorrow, and that kind of sucks on a Saturday, enjoy the Alabama-Auburn game. First time 2 SEC teams have ever played as number 1 ranked in the country versus number 2, and that'll be pretty special. Kelly Holcomb has the day off, as is the case on Fridays. Billy Derrick is alongside. From our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, there are a ton of people here today. Over to my right, if you're watching by way of podcast, there is a group of 12-year-olds playing, and they are from Ohio, from Columbus, and from Missouri. So there. Hello, Billy.
There you go. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is not going to be snow tomorrow. We don't need any more snow. I'll take some of the rain. I'll take having to sit inside, but we don't need any more of that snow.
That's a good move.
Is everything good over there?
Yeah, I got a phone call, and sometimes, things happen.
You seem to be preoccupied.
I am.
While the show's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look,
that's a violation of the Geneva Convention.
That may be, but you know what? Since I'm the one paying the bills, deal with it. Do you have an update of any substance?
Yeah, we've got some substance today. We've got a big weekend of college basketball coming up. We've got the Daytona 500 if it's not delayed. So we got a lot to get into. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Well, we're going to start with some lines for not all but one of them are out for tomorrow in the SEC. Starting in a chronological order, number 8, Texas A&M favored by 8.5 at home against Arkansas. Arkansas can't afford too many more losses. That's a big one for the Hogs tomorrow.
They'll be calling the Hogs.
Well, it's in Aggieland.
So then they won't be.
No, unless they made the trip. Number 5, Tennessee, favored by 12.5 against Vandy. Tell me why.
Because they're playing considerably better, and they're at home. And what would you make it?
More like 7 or 8. I mean, Vandy beat them, but number 1. And I know Tennessee's at home, so that gives you, 3, 4, 5 points. So I guess maybe the original line was 7 or 8, but they count the home court for Tennessee in there. But
they count it plenty. I mean, look,
Tennessee,
it's going to be a much more difficult deal unless Vandy catches them on a day where they can't throw it in the ocean. And that's the thing about Tennessee. We're going to get deep into this with Mark Griffin. But, I mean, Billy, let's face it, it's kind of become when they shoot, they're really good. And when they don't, suddenly you see some issues.
I'm interested to hear what Griff thinks about that because, like you said, that's so volatile to I mean, a lot of teams are like that. But with Tennessee, it is pretty simple because you know what you're going to get on defense day in, day out, game in, game out. So that'll be at noon tomorrow, Tennessee and Vandy in Knoxville. George mentioned it. Number 2, Alabama favored by 1.5 against number 1 Auburn in Tuscaloosa. We'll get into that. Georgia minus 1.5 at home against number 21 Missouri. That would be a Georgia cannot, again, like Arkansas, cannot afford too many more losses. Georgia hanging on by a thread a little bit. They're 4-8 right now in the SEC. They probably need to get that one tomorrow. Number 19 Ole Miss minus 4.5 at home against number 22 Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl of basketball. That was a great game last time out when they played in Starkville.
Yeah, and this one will be too. They hate each other.
And Mississippi State's been sliding big time. I don't know the last time they won a game, but they, I'm sure, will be desperate tomorrow. Texas minus 1.5 against number 15 Kentucky. That is in Austin. And number 3 Florida by 16.5 at home against poor old South Carolina, the slumping team in the SEC.
South Carolina had a real shot to win on Wednesday night, and Malik Dia from here in Nashville basically
took over.
He took over and beat them, period.
Also, I mean, just a massive slate tomorrow. Number 6 Houston at number 13 Arizona at 1 o'clock on ESPN. Number 15 Wisconsin at number 7 Purdue at noon. Number 11 Michigan State goes to Illinois tomorrow night. That's at 7 o'clock. And then you've also got number 21 Creighton at St. John's. Number 8 St. John's on Sunday. So
that'll be a terrific game because Creighton, one of the things Creighton does that some of the big powers don't, they shoot the ball.
Yep.
And ultimately, as good as you may be and as physical and as athletic as you may be, they still only count points when you put the ball in the hole.
College baseball opening weekend, believe it or not, already games going on right now. All 16 SEC schools in action. Number 3 Tennessee hosting Hofstra. First pitch here in about 20 minutes. That'll go Friday through Sunday in Knoxville. You can watch on the SEC Network Plus. And number 16 Vanderbilt plays Grand Canyon tonight on the MLB Network. If you're looking for something to watch, that's at 7 o'clock. And then Nebraska tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for the Vandy boys, and then UC Irvine on Sunday.
So here's my yearly. Why are we playing in February?
I really don't know. I think you at least take another, just get to March. And then, I mean, number one, it's too cold, especially up north, but even down here. I mean, if it's 30 degrees down here.
Yeah, I mean, how do they think the Tennessee Hofstra thing is going to work?
People are going to be freezing their butts off.
Well, not only that, they're going to have a deluge. All that stuff that pours through here.
Yeah, tomorrow
morning at 9 o'clock will be up there. By noon, it'll be a mess. This just in, they won't play tomorrow.
Doubleheader Sunday, 2 7-inning games Sunday, maybe. In the NFL, the Eagles celebrating their Super Bowl trophy today. I don't even want to know all that's been going on, but one thing that went on, Howie Roseman, their GM, got hit in the head with a beer can, apparently. And apparently he's fine. There is a picture out that, you know, he's just got a bruise on his forehead. So
Boozolas.
I can only imagine that's not the only beer cans being flown around up there.
No, this will teach you to win a world title.
Meanwhile, the Chiefs are hoping Travis Kelce decides to remain with the team next season, of course. If he chooses to retire, they want to know of his decision around March 14th or by March 14th. So based on the deadline, the Chiefs are going to give Kelce a month to decide his future. His contract includes an $11.5 million roster bonus that is due March 15th. So they're trying to get old Travis to say, hey, you know.
Well, because let's face it, if he were to decide to retire, and I don't think that's going to happen, because in spite of the fact that he may not be a great blocker, this guy can still catch a bunch of footballs. And Kansas City's offense is very predicated on him and his ability to get open in between zones. Nothing against Noah Gray, but Noah Gray is no Travis Kelce. And if they don't have him, and as important as the tight end position is for them, they need to know that so that they can, in free agency, fortify what suddenly becomes a big weakness.
Kelce did not look the same for a lot of this year, though.
Yeah.
And especially in the playoffs. And I know people complain about it and they joke about, well, the missed blocks in the Super Bowl, but that was never his calling card, I think, like you said the other day. But I wonder if he looks at his performance and says, I might ought to go out on the. I mean, it's a bad note. I don't know that he wants to go off on a bad note, but does he think that he's still got really good football left in him? I guess is what he's got to figure out.
I think he does. I'm going to be a smart aleck about it. Maybe he needs to go on tour less.
That could be in there. Could be in the equation.
And they may be having a hard time getting around to saying that to him.
Yeah, I'd imagine this past off season there wasn't a ton of training. Let's just say that.
It seemed like there was more touring.
Yeah. Also, in college football, 6 former players featured in Last Chance U have filed a lawsuit against Netflix, the NJCAA, and East Mississippi Community College. The school featured in the first 2 seasons of Last Chance U. The plaintiffs are seeking $30 million after claiming that they did not receive any compensation for their appearance on the documentary. You got John Franklin III, former quarterback at Auburn, and then played receiver at Florida State, who is involved in this. Also, DeAndre Johnson, if you remember, was a quarterback at FAU. A lot of those, and I remember watching this, a lot of those main characters are suing Last Chance U and NJCAA East Mississippi Community College. But so apparently what they're saying here is that they were coerced into signing their contracts with Netflix, but they didn't receive compensation. But this show is at least 5 years old, feels like. Why is this just now? That's what I always wonder about stuff like this. Why does it take so long for this stuff to come out? Did they just now realize they weren't paid?
Well, first of all, I got news for them.
Or is this an NIL?
Well, I don't know. They're not getting $30 million.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of chump change.
For a community college, the junior college athletic association.
Pretty good.
Netflix would have to carry
the load. That's a big old chunk of change.
Yeah. Speaking of chunk of change, Ronald Acuna has that, and he'll be back to close to 100% for the Braves, as pitchers and catchers have reported. He's been working out. He says he spoke to the media, said he almost completely feels recovered after tearing his ACL last year, estimated his knee to be at 90 to 95%.
The Braves will pay no attention to this because they have made the decision that they are going to take this really slow and really cautious. Because 2 years ago, when, he came back from the first injury, they feel like the whole thing got rushed. The Braves are going to take this very slow. I don't believe for a minute that he will be on their opening day roster. My guess is that it'll probably be more like late April, early May before you see Ronald Acuna.
There's no need. You play 162 games. There's no need to throw him into the fold when you don't need to. But the other part is, does he need to change his style of play?
Probably, but I don't know that,
because he got hurt sliding into second base. Right?
Yeah, and he's gotten hurt banging into walls. And I mean, look, he's, they used to say the same thing about Ken Griffey Jr. And while they were probably right, he had a pretty good career.
Not bad.
This guy's doing okay as well.
When do the Braves start their spring training games?
Well, I think, the game's probably in about 10 days.
Okay, about a week and a half.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see him in any of that.
No, that'd be stupid. But you will see, it looks like, the Daytona 500 on Sunday. They're aiming to avoid delays caused by potential poor weather on Sunday for the big race. The sanctioning body announced today that they are moving the start time up an hour to 12:30 Central Time. With rain in the forecast late on Sunday, the green flag is now scheduled for 1 o'clock after it was originally set for 3 o'clock.
And this is one of those things, even though
2 o'clock.
Yeah, even though the weather in Florida is probably quite a bit better than it is here at this time of the year, NASCAR has chosen to take what I think is its biggest event, their Super Bowl, and play it on day one. Think about that. No other sport does that. I'm not saying they're wrong, because their track record indicates They've done very well with this, but it is unusual that this is a sport that puts its best event at the very beginning.
That is unusual. And you look at it, I'm sure, there's some betting. There's probably the most betting. I don't know how much betting in NASCAR is a thing, but Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski are all tied atop at plus 1,200 odds to win it. I can't imagine. I mean, first off, you place your bet, you got to sit down and watch. What's the average length of a
3 hours?
3 hours. A lot of them go 4 or 5. That's a lot. But
what I know about NASCAR, you can kind of put in a thimble, and I've never tried to lie about that.
Yeah, I don't know much either, but I know it's a big race on Sunday.
Oh yeah, it's big stuff.
And we've got big basketball tomorrow as well.
We do. And I see Mark Griffin waiting in the on-deck circle. He will join us to start the festivities or the hostilities, however you want to call it. The first thing we'll get into is tomorrow's Tennessee-Vanderbilt game from Thompson Bowling in Knoxville, noon Nashville time start. A lot of strategy to get into because game one at Memorial Gym produced a lot of surprises. We will talk about all of that and more when we come back. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey, this is Kevin Ingram. Join Tim Thompson and me on Saturday as the Commodores head to Knoxville to take on old rival Tennessee. Tip-offs at noon with pregame at 11:30.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
That is good music right there. And we welcome all of you in. Get your weekend started on a good note with us. Let's say hello to our friend, former University of Tennessee basketball star, Mark Griffin. Mark, how are you?
Hey, George. Happy Valentine's Day to you and Billy and everybody out there.
Yeah.
Day of love, and we're going to love on some SEC hoops talking today. And well, I just finished my love of German chocolate cake, so I've got a lot of energy right now, George.
Yeah, so you got a little sugar buzz going.
Well, sure, yeah.
Okay, so all three of us, you, me, and Billy, all attended game one between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Now, the obvious surprise was that Vandy is a pretty big underdog, was able to win the game. To me, the bigger surprise was they got up 16 at one point. But, Mark, I want to talk about two things that happened in the game and how you think those will be counteracted in game two. I thought for about 35 minutes of the game, it was the best man-to-man defense I have ever seen a Vanderbilt team play. So what things does Tennessee try to do? And in all honesty, have you seen Vandy defensively be anywhere near that effective since then?
No. Best game I've seen all year defensively was against Tennessee. And it was two opposite performances. When you looked at Vanderbilt, how great they played defense, where it seemed like UT was settling for mid-range and three-point shots. Then you looked at Vanderbilt offensively, in which Tennessee's got one of the top three teams in the country defensively, and Vanderbilt had their way inside. It was amazing how easy it was for especially Jalen Carey to get and bulldog his way through Tennessee's defense and was able to get layup after layup. George, I mean, he had a career day. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds and a little over 20-something minutes. So just opposite of what I would have expected for that game. Obviously, both teams have watched a lot of film to see how they can adjust. Haven't had a lot of games since then. It's still going to be a battle. But for Tennessee to come out and be victorious tomorrow, they're going to have to not settle on the three-point shot. You've got to establish something as far as a second person to score or even a third option. I've talked about this last week, but you can't just rely on Chaz Lanier, and you can't force Zakai to have to put himself in an uncomfortable position where he is not getting the drive or shots that he needs. You've got to have that third option. And with Vanderbilt, if they could mimic what they did at Memorial, then it could be a long day for Tennessee and Knoxville. You know, winning on the road is huge, and Tennessee has already lost, when they lost to Kentucky at home. Vanderbilt knows that going in, that they've lost at home. This gives them a little momentum to say, hey, we can be just like Kentucky. We can go into Knoxville, put a lot of pressure on them, make them uncomfortable, quiet the crowd. And if Carey can do what he did and McLaughlin step up, because he was a non-factor in that first game, it's gonna cause some problems for Tennessee.
Okay, you beat me to the punch of step two, which was I really didn't know that much about Carey at that point. And he came in and I thought turned the tide of the game because he was able to get whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. He kind of played bully ball, which going into the game, I would have expected it to be the other way around. The Tennessee would bully ball Vandy. But here's what I want to know. Okay, we're now very deep into the season. And Tennessee right now, most of the things have it as either a 1 or a 2 seed. I haven't looked at Lenardi today. I'm guessing he dropped him to a 2. But, Mark, they look like they're very reliant on they've got to hit threes. And on the nights where they come up short in that area, they have real trouble. Is it that simple?
I think it is, until proven otherwise. And when they brought in Okpor from Ohio State, you knew what you were getting with Felix. He's not going to be a guy, was not expected to be the guy to be a double-digit scorer per game. He was more of a defensive presence. Igor, I think, has been a surprise. And I'll say it again this episode. I think Tennessee goes as far as he goes with help. But he's got to continue to be consistent. But he's not one that's going to just blow by you offensively. I do like him going to the basket. I'd like to see him get to the free throw line more. He can spread the offense with his three-point shooting as well. I'd like to see him get, to the line. But you just got to have different guys that can go to the basket. And right now they're more of a perimeter type team. It reminds me, I don't know what year it was, George, but Coach Pearl had a very similar team, a lot of talent. And they really relied on the three ball. I remember you and I were talking on this show years ago. And I don't think it's a position that a lot of coaches want their teams to be in, where you're having to rely on the three-point shot to win or lose, nor does it make it easy on the fans. Players probably like it when they're going in, and it's just very risky. I do think that someone needs to step it up to be able to go inside more and get to the free throw line. And I don't know where it's going to come from, George. You tell me.
Oh, I don't have the answer to that. I mean, look, I know that when they're on all cylinders, they're really dangerous. And when they're not as scary to people, because there's been over the last couple of years, to me, an intimidation factor that Tennessee has against a lot of people. And for the first time, I didn't see that in Nashville when they played Vandy. Billy, I know you're wanting to weigh in. Feel free to.
Gainey and Lanier, Mark, to me, going 0 for 11. I know that's not that's not every game, but you feel like that can't happen. And what's the second, like when you're not shooting well, shouldn't there be a second option of, and I know you talked about Okpara, and he's not a guy where you throw it in and he scores. To me, it's Milicic, where he's got to not only be shooting threes, but he's got to do a lot. So, and I know that might put some pressure on him, but to me, it's Milicic to be that second option if they're not hitting threes to score, even though he may not do that every night.
I put it all on Milicic, and as a student athlete, he should be able to handle that. If anything, I think he's too unselfish. I guarantee you'll see this Saturday. First time he gets ready to take a shot, guys, I guarantee he's going to pump fake instead of go right up. I've not seen him initially catch a ball and go straight up. He would always pump fake, get a pass. And I understand you want to run your system, but when you've got open shots and you've got to take advantage of those shots, either early in the offense or late in the offense, as long as it's not within the last 5 seconds of the shot clock. I've seen more of that this last few games, guys, where UT loves to run their offense and obviously looking for a good shot. But there's been a lot of occasions, guys, where that clock gets 5 or under and they're rushing up a shot. And those are bad shots. And I know that drives Coach Barnes and staff nuts, but you've really got to be aware of the shot clock. and get up shots when you're in your rhythm. Look for mismatches. With Igor, he's a tough guard, person to guard. He's 6'10". So do you bring a big guy out and guard him on the perimeter? Or do you have a guard that's going to actually guard him on the perimeter? He's going to shoot over that individual. If you have a big guy, he's going to blow by. So I would love to see Igor get 10-plus shots tomorrow. I think if you see that, just even 10 attempts is going to put Tennessee in a better position, regardless of what Lanier, regardless of what Ziegler, or even, Billy, to your point, Gainey, what they do. I really feel Tennessee's in a position they are now ranking-wise. Why? Their defense. Why are they a team that may concern some people to go to the second weekend of the tournament or advance the first couple of games of the SEC tournament? Is lack of consistency offensively.
Mark, let me try this one on you. So I kind of felt like Tuesday, a lot of people have made a lot of the fact that Vandy was 3 of 17 in three-point shooting against Auburn. And it's easy to just say, well, if you know going in, they're going to be 3 of 17 from long distance against Auburn, they're not going to win. But I had to admit to myself that what really was going on was that the 17 shots, the degree of difficulty that Auburn was forcing was way better than most teams. And that's really the reason why they were 3 of 17.
I mean, it's a great point, great observation. And you look at a number like 3 of 17, it's not a great percentage, but you're right. You look at when these shots were taken. I always go back to clock management. You know, if Auburn's scoring, let's give a couple examples. If Auburn scores, you can't run, then Vanderbilt can't run their break. If you can't run your break, you don't have numbers, meaning 2-on-1, 3-on-1, and now teams just pull up at the three-pointer and take a shot, which is now all of a sudden a great shot. I like the layups. But you've still got that momentum up and down the court. If Auburn's scoring, takes that away. If you're in your half-court offense and you're just running offense, just keep running your system plays, your sets. Clock goes under 10. That's the magic number when you're like, okay, we got to get up a shot. We need what do you see? You normally see a center will go up to the top of key. They'll set a screen, and you just pray that that your defense doesn't switch or that they don't guard, and then you hopefully get off a good shot. But I'm curious, out of those 17 shots, how many of them were within the last 5 seconds? Because I guarantee you, if you look across the conference and across the country, your shooting percentage, those last 5 seconds of the clock, are probably going to be in your low 20s.
Okay, I want to try this one on you. I believe that in the last couple of weeks, and admittedly, the competition has gotten way more stiff on Vandy's end, the teams are making it harder and harder on them, which leads me to the graphic of your most impactful transfer, the kid Jason Edwards, who's got a little bit of microwave in him, Vinnie Johnson kind of player.
Good call.
Mark, are they now to the point where they're struggling enough offensively that they're going to have to live and die more with the bad shot selection? Because he's also instant offense where you end up going, no, great shot.
Yeah.
Are they going to have to start living with that more?
I think he's option A and B, or 1 and 2. I mean, you guys tell me, or maybe some of your listeners, where do you see a consistent wing performer night in and night out that you want the ball in their hands more than Jason Edwards? If I'm Byerton, I prefer to have the ball in his hands because he's proven he can score. One thing about Jason, I did a little research because I didn't know who he was when he first came into the conference. Maybe you guys did. I don't watch a lot of North Texas basketball on Tuesday nights or Wednesdays.
CBS Sports Network.
Well, there you go. Well, George, if anybody would know, it'd be you. Well, he was first team all American Athletic Conference. He's not the first one that we featured. We had another impactful transfer. If you remember, guys, Elijah Martin was also a first team back in the day with FAU. But nonetheless, he averaged 19 points with them. Little background on Jason. I think this is a great story that not a lot of people know. He started off at Miles College in Alabama. Redshirted. He was a D2 player at Miles College in Alabama. Didn't play his freshman year. He redshirted. Well, guess what? He took off to JUCO, Dodge City Community College, first team All-American. He scored 765 points, second most in the country. Okay, so what does that tell you there? He can score. I would want the ball in his hands. And then he went to North Texas. Things worked out great there for him to be able to come to the SEC. He's playing at a high level. He has the freedom offensively. You want the ball in his hands. So good for him and good for Coach's system. I think for Vanderbilt to be able to compete at a higher level with more wins, you're going to find someone like an Elijah Martin from Florida that's going to lock him down, and they're going to say, I don't care what you do offensively, do not let him blow by you. Or it's going to be Meshack tomorrow. It's going to be some teams are really going to focus on taking the number one option away. And when you do that guard-wise, my question to y'all, who do you go to? Who is that second option for Vanderbilt wing-wise that's consistent? Well, I'll go ahead and answer. I don't know, because it's McLaughlin on the inside, and recently it's been Jalen Carey, but I haven't seen that consistency from the outside. Now, could it happen? Will it happen? It could. But if I'm scouting Vanderbilt, I'm doing my best to deny him even bringing the ball up the court. Two guys on him when the ball's coming out of bounds. Let somebody else run the offense, and I'm shadowing him wherever he goes.
Mark, I want to try this one because I know what I think, but you've played and you know better than I do. I'm starting to believe that a bunch of the teams in the SEC, as they face these 4 to 6 game stretches that are absurd, might as well be NBA, NBA South, that there are some teams right now running on fumes, that the gas tank is approaching empty. Do you believe that?
Yes. I'll even – Mississippi State, I warned about this last week. That's a team I'm concerned about. Now, looking now, 8 seed, lovely. I don't see them being an upper echelon, top 8 or, even top 5. I don't see that happening. Do they make the tournament? They could, but I think they're limping in because they besides Josh Hubbard, I haven't seen a lot. Once again, going back to consistency, second and third option. Everybody has their first option guy. Who's your second and third? Oklahoma's another team that's going backwards in my mind. Vanderbilt, it's a big game tomorrow. Now, do I feel better about them than I do Oklahoma? I do right now based on the eyeball test, as well as Georgia and Texas. If I was to, throw this out right now, I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. I don't think there's going to be 14 teams. We'll talk about this every week. If I'm looking at trends for what I've seen, guys, I'm saying Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia are going to be on the outside. I think Arkansas makes it. I think Vanderbilt is right there, but they're going to have to win. I think they're going to have to get another big win, either protect the home court or steal one on the road.
Would Ole Miss here qualify as the big win?
They'll probably be favored in that game. So, but I think what Mark is saying, and I'm with Mark, you beat one of either Tennessee or Kentucky, or even go to College Station and win, you're just about in. You just need one more. Like, I don't know that Ole Miss is really good, but
they're good.
What you're talking about, Mark, is another one of the big dogs.
That's right, big dog. I mean, You're right. I think they'll be is the Vanderbilt game against Ole Miss at home
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Vanderbilt should win that game. Big homecoming for Malik Dia.
Yeah.
Insworth's own.
Yeah.
Been playing great in SEC play, especially the other night. I think he had like 8 to 10 consecutive points, and
He
couldn't
took over.
stop him.
He is the only reason they won at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay.
For South Carolina. What a great coach. I had a chance to meet Coach Paris when he was at Chattanooga, recruited one of the kids from EAB that I had, and just gave me a tour of the campus, and it ages you, it ages the fans. Think about coaches. I mean, the number of losses they've had by 1 or 2 points were incredible. And they could pull a Missouri and go, 0 for 18.
That could be something new. There's a Missouri from last year every year where they just can't catch a break.
And it is.
And you get
when you're
stuck
in that position,
it's
it
terrible.
sucks.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the break. Afterwards, Billy will get into it with Mark, and something tells me the Alabama-Auburn game tomorrow will be front and center stage. This is 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancos to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancos Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancosbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this.
You're
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sing along, Mark.
Well, you're a Steve Perry fan. You go for it.
Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee basketball star, joining us for his weekly Friday visit. Billy, what do you got for him?
Mark, Nate Oates said that we are not interested in winning a boxing match, football game, or wrestling match. You get points by putting the ball through the rim. Let's win on the scoreboard. Can they do it at home against an Auburn team that can seemingly do everything? I mean,
seems like a warning that he was putting out there, maybe to the officials.
Yeah. But, I mean, watching Auburn, they had Chaney Johnson against Vandy go off on a 9-0 run by himself. On a night where Janai Broome wasn't at his best. They had Denver Jones go off for like 15 in the first half. They are incredibly deep, and I think they win tomorrow. What do you think?
I think Auburn wins. I think it's going to be a great game. As you know, guys, I've been big on Auburn. I probably have them overvalued. I said they were heads above everyone else. I still think that. Because speaking of options, they have a third or a second, a third, a fourth option. These other programs don't have that. Now, to Bama's looking at Alabama and what they bring to the table tomorrow, it's a home game. Bama, one quick stat. Over the last 3 years, Alabama, Auburn, UT, home record, maximum losses for the year, 2. This year, each of those 3 teams have 1 home loss. Incredible home record. So that's another thing to look at concerning Alabama, the comfort of playing at home if you compete. But it's a great stat. It goes to show you protect your home floor. Can Auburn come in and change that? I think they can. I think one thing that I've seen with against Broome, when you've got athletic bigs that fare against him defensively that are quicker than him, it gives him trouble. Because you guys watch tomorrow, 90% of the time, Broome's going to go over his left shoulder. Okay? Yeah, left shoulder. He's going to go to his left 90% of the time. Well, I guarantee you Nate Oates is drilling his Bama squad now. You know where how he's going to shoot. They're showing film, they're rewinding, they're showing again, rewind. This is what he's going to do. And a lot of his shots, if he misses them, he's so talented, he gets offensive rebounds and puts them right back up. If Alabama can limit Broome and not just get him in foul trouble, but if they can limit his second chance opportunities, I think Alabama could have a really good shot to keep it close. And not just with Sears having a good game, because once again, Alabama's got a lot of options, offense, a lot of young players that can come in and make things happen as well. But I really do think with Alabama, they can bring in a few big guys. The transfer from Rutgers, and of course I'll butcher his name, so I'm not even going to try. Billy, you're probably better than I am. But they'll at least be able to bring in guys to really belly him up and give him a hard time.
Both these rosters, you go through the production, the players that have produced, it's ridiculous. I mean, you mentioned the second, third, fourth options. Alabama, you go down the list. Grant Nelson, who I think is a big key tomorrow. But their guards, Mark Sears, LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway, Chris Youngblood has been huge.
Yeah. Youngblood. He's in Youngblood, not to interrupt you, Billy.
Yeah.
He has probably been the most improved player on Alabama's squad the last 6 or 7 games.
Right. They're role players per se, like Youngblood and Holloway are probably role players, but they would probably start on a good bit of other SEC teams.
Oh, no doubt.
A question for you. Who do you think has the better, this could be impossible to answer, but who do you think has the better supporting cast? Whereas, like, if Janai Broom and, let's say, Pettiford, who are probably their top scorers, aren't on, who's stepping up for Auburn? Meanwhile, for Alabama, if Sears and Nelson aren't on, who's stepping up for them? Whose supporting cast do you like better?
I like Auburn's. Now, I must admit, I've seen probably every Auburn game. I haven't watched every Alabama game.
That's how I am, too. Yeah.
And I'm just I think most of America is just really intrigued by Coach Pearl this season and what he's doing with Auburn. And not to take anything away from Alabama fans at all, not to take anything away from Nate Oates at all. Alabama just came from a Final Four, guys. They have the experience. I'm just fascinated by Auburn and the depth that they run in. But to answer your question, I look at Denver Jones. You got Miles Kelly. Those guys can step up and make big shots, and they've each done that. You mentioned the big kid that killed Vanderbilt, and his name, I just forgot his name.
Chaney Johnson.
Chaney Johnson, who transferred from a D2 school, Alabama Huntsville, a few years ago. Saw him play in Huntsville. These guys play so hard, and they get rest, and they come right at you. And it's got to be frustrating as an offensive player. And I can say this from playing, you know who's guarding you, and you know their talent level. It may not just their name, but you know who's really getting after it. So when you've got a guy guarding you at the beginning of the game and you're like, crap, I can't get open. And then it gets around that TV timeout, 17 minutes left. You're 1 minute before the TV timeout, and they bring in a sub, and you're like, wow, I still can't get open. I'm getting screens, and I can't get open. It gets frustrating as an offensive player. Some teams, they bring in their, 6th player, 7th player, 8th player, like, oh, man, I'm getting ready to have a field day. That's one thing you don't see with both of these teams is a letdown when they go to the bench. And that's really going to help these teams moving forward and into the SEC tournament. We talk a lot about the NCAA tournament, but depth matters.
All right, let's go to the ACC for your nothing but net surprise team, the Clemson Tigers. They are in the top 25. They are at Florida State tomorrow. They've won 11 of their last 13 games. They are coming off a win over Duke a couple of games ago. You think this team can do some things, I know, Mark.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've kind of bashed on the ACC, which is easy to do this season. So I'm thinking, okay, who besides Duke should we look out for that's played really well? Now the head coach, I'll probably butcher his name again. Bronwell, George, help me out.
Brad Brownell.
Brownell. See, that's why I don't do y'all's job. But he's been a coach to me that it seems like when you start talking about him being on the hot seat, he has a big run, and they give him a contract extension. Then they play average for 4 more years. Then they have another run. Well, we had a good run last year. Looks like they're going to put together a pretty good run this year as far as regular season. They've got 6 games left. I think each of these games are winnable. The toughest game they have, I think they play SMU.
Yep.
And that's it. And the other 5 games are net ranking of like 85 and below. So that, I mean, this team could be, 25-6. I think they're going to get a good seed based on that. And let's see how they do in the ACC tournament. But I watch them, and they have a kid, Chase Hunter. He's on the John Fulkerson swing there as far as longevity. It's his 6th season, George. 6th season at Clemson, and what a fantastic guard that I was not aware of. And I watched a few Clemson games, and of course, big Ian Shefflin. I saw him play travel ball for Team Curry when he was in high school. The guy's really improved. So you've seen a lot of development with this team. Play hard, big win against Carolina as well that wasn't mentioned. I just like this team being a surprise team this season, because I never would have thought that Clemson would be in the position that they are to be 29th at this time of the season and have such a great overall record. That this is my surprise team.
Mark, isn't the difference that in most years at Clemson, he's tried to play all the games in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I look at their scores this year, and there's a lot more 70s and 80s as opposed to this grinded out win by a possession and a half that he'd been doing.
I mean, it's a great point. I think you're right. You can poll these college kids and high school kids and heck, even middle school kids. No one wants to walk up and down the floor. I mean, that's boring basketball. So the trend, it's not even a trend now. It's standard is you want to get up and down the court. I mean, let's have a coach on a conference call going to University X and say, hey, I just want to walk the ball down the court. We're going to play slow. We're going to pass 18 times, but we're going to be close. No one wants to hear that. You don't win the press, it doesn't go well with the media when you have that type of attitude. And I think these coaches are making the change. I really do, that you have to change with today's basketball style. And that is have good guard play up and down the court, take advantage of offensive opportunities once you get a rebound, and make it exciting for the fans. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I didn't play for the fans. I played because of the enjoyment. But boy, it really the enthusiasm was through the roof as the fans get behind you. So why would you not want to play exciting style basketball? It looks like Coach is doing that now.
Okay, let's do this. We're going to go to the break. Then we're going to get to stat of the day, which in recent days has been a real trouble spot. It's made us look stupid. But then I want to open up the phone lines for your college basketball questions for former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin. Jump in, because we'll take your calls as soon as stat of the day is over at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. If you can't get to a phone and want to text either a question or a comment to Mark, Billy, how do they do that?
The chat room is open on YouTube. It's to the right of the screen. If that's how you're watching on your laptop, just type it in and we'll get it over to Mark. You can also do it on Twitter and Facebook as well. Just swipe up and you can type in your comment or question. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, we'll go to the break. You hit the phones. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
talk about changes in career, people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It's Family Leisure's President's Day sale.
Wait, President's Day?
Well, it's in honor of all our presidents, and it means great deals for everyone.
Okay, like what?
Well, pools and spas for one. Family Leisure has the largest selection and guarantees the lowest prices anywhere, even compared to the internet.
What about grills and grill islands?
Of course, everything is on sale for 4 days at Family Leisure, even the smokers, grills, and grill islands. But I am more excited about the patio furniture. The new styles are arriving, and there are still great deals on the remaining floor models.
Wow! Great prices, great selection, and guaranteed lowest prices. Sounds like a great time to shop Family Leisure.
That's right, a 4-day only sale at Family Leisure, just in time for spring.
Family Leisure, both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Griffin coming up, but first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we've got college basketball. Janai Broome is looking to be the first big man since who to win SEC Player of the Year?
Since whom?
Whom? Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, you got any thoughts there?
Yeah, I am the worst at this, so I wouldn't have a clue.
Who was the big kid at Florida that just graduated?
DeClerc? Oh, no, that's in the 90s. Shinsis? No.
No, I'm talking about in the last 2 years. Who's the big kid at Florida? White kid.
Is he playing pro?
I don't know.
No. I couldn't tell you guys.
I don't know. You're going to have to put it up there, and we're just going to have to admit that we don't know.
Oscar Shibwe.
Oh, wow. We should have.
Shame on us.
Mark, did you ever win at Rupp?
No. But I'll tell you what, we came close. Funny story. well, like our big loss at Vanderbilt, we're up like 11 with a minute 20 something and blew it. We're up at Rupp, and I remember, I think Rex Chapman fouled out. And no, Tony White fouled out. And they brought in one of our walk-ons, Russ Bivey. Played 20 minutes a whole career. Played at Rupp. He actually started the first game at Thompson Bowling, but beside the point. We're going deep in the bench to get players. So we're just fouling out guys left and right. But we were up. And Chapman hit a huge three-pointer, and I think he got fouled. Worst foul in basketball is obviously a three-point shot that goes in. And knocked down the free throw, and then they end up pulling away maybe 6 points. But had them beat. I mean, fans were leaving. I remember that. But never got to experience that, unfortunately. But what a great place to play. I mean, going to practice there, just checking out all the banners, the history, even growing up as a kid.
The best.
I was just really honored to be on that floor. And one quick thing, going back to watch the Vols later as a fan, their staff, as far as employees, and I'm wearing orange, they couldn't have been nicer. I mean, I was shocked. I was expecting, you go against your former opponents and people are always booing you or saying something bad. You get used to it. But at Rupp, they didn't know who I was. They just saw donned in orange and being tall, and they were just like, well, welcome and glad you're here. Is anything you need? And I'm like, these people were so nice.
There's an appreciation of basketball up there that is second to none. It's the best college basketball fan base in the country, bar none, and probably always will be.
And the sports information guy, one quick shout out to him. Tell me his name again, George, that was at Vanderbilt.
Are you thinking about Tony Neely, who I just talked to?
A great guy.
Yes.
If you see him or maybe he's watching, I don't know. Hello.
We watched the Vandy, Kentucky game together a few weeks ago up in the press box.
It doesn't surprise me.
We welcome all of you officially into the 4 o'clock hour from the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin is with us. You all have been slow to the trigger, and I get it. A lot of you have snuck home early. Your bosses don't know it. I'm not going to blow your cover.
They're buying flowers for their girlfriend or spouse.
Absolutely. But I am asking for a couple of you to jump on the line with your college basketball questions or comments to Mark at 615-553-0933. Okay, here we go. Clay in Nashville. Say hello to Mark Griffin.
Hello, Mark. How you doing today?
Great, Clay. Good to hear from you.
Good. You mentioned Tony White. First of all, I wanted to, because I've been a fan a long time, and I remember when you played. Who else was on? Who were some key players on the team when you played, other than Tony White?
Well, Columbia's own Fred Jenkins, which if Fred didn't hurt his knee, the best athlete that I played with in Knoxville was Fred Jenkins when he was healthy. But the bad thing about Fred, he was not healthy a lot. And I saw the pain he went through trying to recover. It was awful. But to your question, Dyron Nix from Florida was
or
the same class.
Said on broadcasts, Dyron.
Yeah, Dyron Nix. And we came, it's funny, we came out and played Alabama and out in Tuscaloosa. And it's, you're trying to focus on pregame, knocking down shots, really getting in the game. And I've got some great stories of what really goes on when you're a student athlete, when you go out and warm up. But we're warming up, and the Alabama band's playing a Prince song because, Dyron had a big Jerry curl, looked like somewhat like Prince, according to the band. So they're playing a Prince song honoring Dyron. But Doug Roth, Knoxville Carnes, is one of our better players as well. Ian Lockhart, who ended up playing in NBA for several years, was a a fantastic rebounder. I remember he came to UT. He didn't even know how to bench press. They didn't bench press where he grew up. And one of the strongest guys I ever played against at Knoxville. So many guys. Rob Jones, best defensive player I ever played against. It was from Knoxville, Alston East. Just a great group of people. We still stay in touch today. But those are a couple of the ones. But Tony White's the biggest one. That congratulations to him. He just got inducted to the Tennessee State Hall of Fame. So that's a big honor among others he's had.
Clay, do you want to hear a great what goes on benches before games? I got a great one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Clay, you there?
Yes.
Okay. This one involves one of Mark's favorite coaches, Ray Mears, and one of my all-time favorites, of course, the late, great C.M. Newton. So as the story goes, Coach Newton initially was not a big fan of Ray Mears, and it pissed him off, and he told Mears this to his face with me there. We had lunch one day at Sweats. This is in the mid-'80s. Ray Mears is out of coaching, and he has come down to Vandy to be C.M. Newton's guest at a game. So the story gets told that Ray Mears would walk out an hour before the game, and, of course, at Vandy, he would walk the floor and get a lot of boos, and, he'd get booed all over the place. At Alabama, he would sit on Alabama's bench. Ooh. And the truth of it is that pissed CM off.
Yeah.
He decided to retaliate. And so on the return trip to Knoxville, Ray Mears had a director's chair, an orange director's chair that he sat in on the bench. Remember, everybody else had the folding chair. Ray Mears had the orange, director's chair. CM decides that he's going to sit in that director's chair and piss Ray Mears off. Well, Mears sends a manager over to basically tell CM to get out of the chair. This is an hour 10 before the game. And CM tells the manager, if Ray doesn't like it, Ray can come out here and tell me himself. At which point, as Ray Mears is hearing this story, he starts laughing and he says, I knew there was something I liked about you, Newton.
Hey,
That's
George,
good.
by the way, I've got a little advice for you maybe for stat of the day. Would you like it?
Yeah, I need to get some more right.
Especially after my wonderful pick on the Vandy South Carolina football game, saying that was a big book it. But anyway, I was surprised. A friend of mine told me, have y'all seen this? Is this true? Tennessee is a 12.5-point favorite. Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just think that's a lot of points.
I do too.
It's a lot of points.
A lot of points.
But this is a team that blew out Florida a couple of weeks ago by 20.
I think it's because
Knoxville.
of that blowout potential.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you had something for Mark, and I
Vanderbilt wins tomorrow. Kentucky would be swept by both Kentucky and Vanderbilt. I bet that hadn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, the last time that happened, I think Tennessee's coach might have been fired.
It's probably before Ray Mears. Anyway, anything else on your end, Clay?
Have a great day. That's it. Thanks.
All right, Clay.
Okay, let's get a couple of text questions in for Mark.
Chris says, Mark, who's the most underrated Tennessee basketball player of all time, and why is it Dyron Nix? LOL.
So, Mark, when I saw the question, I eliminated Aliko Dunk.
Oh, wow. Good one.
Good hoops name. Really good name.
I'm surprised you remembered that.
Aliko Dunk.
Most underrated. Wow.
Ward had a field day with that one.
Man, that, I'd have to go by era. I mean, it's a tough one. That's a really tough one to answer. I wouldn't say Darren Nix, obviously, LOL. I'm trying to think one of the most underrated in my mind. I mentioned him early. Was Rob Jones back in the mid '80s, and the reason I mentioned Rob Jones, he's the best player, inside player that I ever practiced against in 4 years in Knoxville. That's including Darren Nix. He was the most encouraging player that coached you on the side, that Coach DeVoe had full confidence in to speak to his players. Rob was 6'7". And if you recall back in the mid 80s, and even now, that's short. Outside of Louisville back in the day, if you remember when they went short, before they even termed small ball. But he was probably the best defensive player inch by inch that I ever went against, and never stepped back, never stepped down against an opponent when he's playing someone 6'10", 7 foot. If it was Sam Bowie, those guys back in the day, just had a heart for the game and a passion for the game. His stats he was not a great free throw shooter, a really good rebounder, but he's not on anybody's all SEC list or anything. But I just think he was underrated because he just did the little things and was steady, so that guys like Fred Jenkins and Tony White could get theirs and get these so-called accolades. But you've got to have the Rob Joneses on your teams even today. That's why I feature the most impactful transfer. I like to look at guys that just fit into a program, that have a critical role, so that others can get the highlights or get the lights on them, I should say. But if you don't have the Rob Jones type of players, then you don't have a shot.
Mark, I'm going even deeper. Sandwiched in between Bernard King and Ernie Grunfeld was Stratford's own Mike Jackson. And Mike Jackson was a heck of a third option, would have been the number one option on 95% of teams, but stuck in between Ernie Grunfeld and Bernard King. He was an unbelievable third option.
That's a great call. Great call. And a great guy.
Yeah. Nashville, Stratford High School. Very
loves the Vols. Loves the Vols.
Okay, Billy.
Stormy, please ask Mark who would be his Final Four picks if he made the selection, plus who will make the Final Four.
Wow.
So I guess your I don't know what he necessarily means by that, but who do you think's making the Final Four? We'll just say that.
Wow, put me on the spot. Well, let's put it this way. I don't think it's going to be your 4 number 1 seeds, because has that ever happened, guys? I mean, have we ever had 4 1 seeds all make the Final Four? I don't know. That'd be a Google question, which I don't have my phone near me. You're going to have that surprise team. If there was one SEC team that I would say my gut feeling should be in the Final Four, is Auburn. Now, could a Florida, if Condon comes back effectively, could Alabama, could there be a surprise team? Could it be Tennessee? With Tennessee's inconsistency in their shooting right now, that concerns me. But I will tell you this, I'll add on to this question. When you get to tournament time, you're not scoring 80-something points a game, guys. You're going to be in the 60s, lower 70s. That helps Tennessee offensively, okay? Defense is going to stand out even more. You're going to have the ball in the guard's hands even more during critical time slots. That favors Tennessee, okay? Now, outside of that, Duke is a team that I feel should be in the Final Four based on talent. They got 3 lottery picks. I mean, how do you not put a Duke team in the Final Four? So right now, the 2 that I've got, I'll let you guys add the other 2. I feel it should be Duke and Auburn based on today. What about y'all?
Okay, here's what I wrote down. I'm with you on Duke and Auburn. Duke I'm on because nobody can guard Cooper Flagg. I'm on Auburn because having seen them in person, I came away really, really impressed. Now, to your theory that most of the games end up in the 60s and they're rock fights, well, there's a team out there that can shoot past all that. It's Creighton.
Oh.
The big kid, Kalkbrenner, gives them the ability to get some easy hoops. And then Larry Bud is not walking through that door. I think St. John's is going to get there.
Yeah, I think there's a chance you see some SEC teams get to the tournament and look totally different just because they're so used to the physical style of play in the SEC. I do think Auburn makes the Final Four. I think Duke makes it. A couple outside chances. Texas Tech, that team, if you watch, they put up over 100 points the other night.
They're fun.
McCaslin's doing a good job. Watch out for Texas Tech. And then it's hard. I like Illinois.
I just wrote down Illinois, Billy. I swear. I just wrote it down and circled it.
I like that Illinois team, and they're different. You know, they've got a couple of international players, Jakachonis and Ivisic.
Do we need to buy a vowel?
No, Jakachonis. That's
thank you.
Big Z's brother.
Yeah, Big Z's brother, Tomislav Ivisic. So they're good.
This is why you're in radio. Good for you.
That was well done. Mark, we're done. Thank you so much for your weekly Friday visit, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. It was fun. Really enjoyed it, guys.
The flu was fun, or this was fun?
Oh, this was fun. Flu's not fun. Got to watch some hoops, which was fun. But when you're sick, nothing's fun.
No, I'm with you. Thanks.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay, after the break, Mark McGee is going to join us, and we're going to talk about this hockey tournament that is getting surprisingly strong television ratings. And, oh, by the way, the United States, they could win this thing. Stay tuned.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. Coast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Hey Doors fans, it's Jay Clyman. Vandy women's basketball is back on the road on Sunday afternoon, facing off with the Auburn Tigers. I'll have your pregame starting at 2:45.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So as a lot of you know, the NHL has basically suspended play for a couple of weeks. And the reason for that is this Four Nations face-off tournament. And tomorrow night, we're really going to see something. Canada against the United States in a position where in the old days, Canada would be a huge favorite. Tomorrow night, it's a dead pick'em, which says the U.S. and the squad they've put together is way better than normal. Here's a shocker. TNT announced that the Wednesday night game between Canada and Sweden averaged over 1 million viewers on its platforms.
Wow.
I have not been able to find a number for last night when the United States won handily, but I got a feeling tomorrow night they're going to get a really good audience. And with that in mind, we've asked Mark McGee to join us to talk a little bit about it. Gee, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, George.
How did this come about?
I guess it's looking for a replacement for the All-Star game. All-Star game's kind of lost a lot of its cachet. They really don't know what to do with it. So this is something that's kind of different. It's kind of a cross between the All-Star game and the Olympics and all that together. And I think that they were looking for another way to promote the league and promote the world coverage of the league.
So if I had asked you, let's say a week ago, will this thing do legitimately decent TV ratings? What would you have said?
I would have been probably saying it'll be okay, but nothing great, because it's something new. A lot of people weren't knowing what to expect. But there was a lot of interest in this as far as tickets and that type of thing, but as soon as it was announced. So that kind of made me think that maybe there would be a TV market there. When they saw it was two great games the first day. I mean, Sweden loses in overtime to Canada 4-3. A lot of people think Sweden might be a dark horse in this thing because of the way they played against Canada. And of course, USA just trashed UC Saros in Finland 6-1, and and sets up the Canada USA game tomorrow night, and that's being played in Montreal, and it's not the Forum, it's the Bell Center, but it's still the heart of hockey in Canada, other than Toronto. And so the interest is going to be high both inside that arena and on TV.
That's where they're playing, in Montreal?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
To give you
at the Bell Center.
To give you a little bit of an idea of where this compares, for instance, to NHL regular season ratings on TNT, what I'm looking at here.
I really checked those before.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I really haven't checked the ratings on anything like that before. I really can speak to that, so I don't really follow the TV ratings that much. So,
well, here's what I'm going to read you. On a Tuesday night, a New Jersey Devil New York Ranger game on TNT True TV drew 139,000. The later game drew 146,000. So the Sweden Canada thing basically, whatever the word is, outdid it by about 7 times. And so they've got to be thrilled with that. And Guy, I would assume tomorrow night, USA versus Canada, even though it's a Saturday night, is going to get some really good numbers.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of excitement about this game tomorrow night, and there really is. I mean, most people feel like this is, other than the championship game, most people feel like this is the jewel of the round robin tournament. This combination here, especially the way both teams are playing right now.
So, is this a case where Canada has not put its best stuff out there, or have the U.S. players caught up to Canada?
Well, I think U.S. players are catching up to Canada. You got to you look at the draft through the years, and look at the number of players on teams. I mean, the USA is really as far as quality players, skaters, and that type of thing. USA has really covered a lot of ground in the last few years, and it's not. Does it dominate Canada yet? No, but it's getting pretty close. It's still Canada's sport, so USA's challenging.
Canada's always been the gold standard of this stuff, and I happened to catch before we went on the air. I was looking at one of the TVs here at the Ford Ice Center. ESPN's betting service has tomorrow night's game as a pick'em.
That kind of surprises me since it's being played at Montreal, and we're technically Canada's home ice. That does kind of surprise me a little bit. But, I think the offensive power that, the Kachuk brothers went crazy the other night in the game against Finland. And I think that, the offensive power that they showed was pretty good. But Finland and Saros, had 26 saves, but allowed 6 goals, 3 in the third period. But I think one thing to look at was a couple of defensemen injuries. So their defensive core was not quite as strong as it's supposed to be coming in. So I think they're probably they'll wind up without a win in this thing. But Saros was kind of dealing with that. So I can't put it all on his shoulders. But the offensive power, that the USA showed was incredible.
Mark, it was a week ago tonight that the Preds went up to Chicago against a pretty mediocre Blackhawks, and they got boat raced, and I thought they quit on Andrew Burnett, and I think even the players to some level acknowledged that their effort wasn't anywhere close to good enough. Do you think during this period where, Barry Trotz has got some time to look at the big picture, does this send out a warning signal to him that's deeper than what he thought it was?
I think so. I think you're right about that. Yeah. I think you're right about that. I think that it gives them a time to kind of sit back and take a look at everything and see what's going on. There's only a handful of players and the Predators in this. You got Forsberg and Nyquist on the Sweden team, and you got Saros with Finland, and it's a chance for him to kind of sit back and see what these guys have and give a chance to regroup a little bit. Hopefully they can regroup and finish at least a little bit stronger. But yeah, Chicago's a very mediocre team. They had no business losing to Chicago.
They were down 6-1 at one point, and then it seemed like they were embarrassed enough to come back the next night and play a much better game in a win against Buffalo. Guy, I guess what I'm wondering is this now going to force Barry Trotz to get rid of Andrew Burnett at the end of the year?
Yeah, if they just kind of limp the rest of the way through, I'd say yes. I think he'll have to give that a strong look for sure. I think that means right now, coaching changes don't always solve a problem, but it might. But I think right now, in this situation, what Andrew's trying to do with the personnel he's got is not working. So you got to either change your personnel, which is very tough to do, or you can change your coach, which is very easy to do. And I think that Andrew probably is going to find himself looking for another job here at the end of the season.
So, they come back after this 2-week deal, and my suspicion is they will come back initially with a little more pep. But given the fact that they've got, 7-8 more weeks of the season, they've been out of contention since before Thanksgiving. I don't see this being a great time for Predator hockey. How do you see it?
I don't think so. I mean, I just don't think it's going to. I know they're really. I've been reading the advertisements out promoting, trying to get people to buy tickets for get the rest of the games. Great seats available. Please buy a ticket because nobody else is doing it. So I think that right now they're trying to get people to come to the games. It's going to be really difficult to do. And as we've talked before, ticket sales are so important when it comes to the NHL. You've got to put people in the seats to make money. And talking about the Buffalo, when they came back against Buffalo, Buffalo's in disarray too. So it wasn't like Buffalo was a great team to be playing against either. But Chicago and Buffalo were both really struggling teams right now.
So the Chicago game for me was the first time that I had no doubt in my mind that they quit on Andrew Burnett. That there's no reason for them to be down 6-1 to that kind of caliber team. I'm assuming Barry Trotz, even though he's not saying it, is feeling the same way. Does that game change at all what he does at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I would think he'd have to right now. I mean, they're not in contention, and he kept on saying that he would. He might be a buyer based on how things looked. Well, the way things look, he doesn't need to be a buyer. He doesn't need to be looking at this year. He needs to be looking at what's going to be going on next year and the next. And he does so. It's going to. He's going to be trading somebody. Like I said, there's not that many people to trade on that team. I don't think you want to trade the foundation of that team because you are looking at the future. So there are 2 or 3 people that might be attractive. So other teams like O'Reilly's name pops up a lot. He's got Stanley Cup experience. He's a good character player and a good leader in your locker room. To me, he's the one that they probably try to get something for sure. After that, I don't know. After that, maybe the minor guys, but as far as bigger name people, O'Reilly's the one I think is going to wind up probably on the trading block.
So is this whole thing, whatever they do, in the hopes of stockpiling draft picks?
Well, they got a ton of draft picks already. I mean, you just really can't have enough, but they need a player. They always need scorers. They need another scorer for sure, and they need somebody that fits into whatever system they're going to try to have next year. But Stamkos Stamkos moved them at center, which was they resisted that for quite a while. That he has responded there. Marchessault is very average right now. Hopefully, this is just an aberration for him. And so, I think that they've got a foundation. They've got to get deeper. The third and fourth lines have to be better. And defensively, you just don't think of them having defensive issues, but it wouldn't hurt for them to have another defenseman or two as well. But a lot of the guys in Milwaukee have knocked hard at the door, and some of them have stayed up, and that kind of shows what kind of depth they have as a farm system. But I don't know. You get more draft picks. Yeah, that's always a good thing. You can't have enough of those, but they've got a pretty good stockpile of draft picks for next year or two anyway.
Last thing for you, how much has Jeremy Lauzon's injury hurt them?
Quite a bit, because he was a good defensive player. I mean, a good physical force on that team. They've lacked physicalness a lot in games. They have not been very physical at times, so that does hurt not having him around.
Guy, I appreciate it. So if you had to guess, Does tomorrow night, by hockey standards, get a monster number?
I think so. I really do. Because I was like, so there was a lot of interest in this before it even got started. And there's even talk of expanding it, next year or next time they do it. So, but with the Olympics coming up, and I think they won't be able to do it. But yeah, it's been I think it's exceeded NHL's hopes as far as marketing and that type of thing, and as far as promoting the game. But I think that I think that this has been. These are four good. The teams put together are very good, and I think the Canada USA game is, like I said, the jewel of the tournament. So even beyond the championship game. So I think it's going to be. I think it'll be good numbers for it. I really do.
Might be the first of a couple of meetings. Guy, thank you as always. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, definitely. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Mark McGee joining us to talk not only a little bit of Preds, but a little bit of hockey in general. Billy, I don't know if you've seen this. It's already been announced between the NHL and the Players Association that they will do this again in 28, and it will be an 8-country deal.
Yeah, I had heard about this, but I wasn't locked in or dialed into it. And I didn't watch, what was it, Wednesday, you said, that got a big rating on TNT?
Which was not a game involving the United States.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be watching tomorrow night now that especially that it's U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
No.
And that is encouraging, too, that it's a pick 'em. Now, maybe Canada wins, but,
It'll very much have an Olympic feel to it.
Yeah, and this is the first year they've tried this. For it to go as well as it's gone, that's pretty cool.
Okay, we're going to do this. We'll go to the break. Later, I'm going to have Plaster Bet of the Day, but if a couple, 3 of you would jump in, we'll open the phones and go wherever you want to go, as long as it's sports. 615-553-0933. That is our number. Hit the phones. We're back on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
After that interception.
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
By the way, pay no attention to the sunshine that's out there right now, because in about 7 hours around midnight, it will be long gone. And they're talking about a bunch of rain, big time numbers tomorrow, 100% chance. You've heard anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. Hopefully it's not that much, but we're going to see a lot of rain.
Thank goodness it's not snow.
Good point.
It may not snow. I wonder if it snows again.
Well, they're talking about next Wednesday. And let me, before we go to the phones here real quick, let me make sure I've got that right. Next Wednesday, about a 50% chance of snow showers. Eric in Nashville, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Yeah, George, you're talking about that. It's supposed to, after tomorrow, get bitter cold over the next several days. I think the warm's supposed to be about 43 degrees, maybe Tuesday. But, yeah, you're right. We're getting a chance to snow. In fact, we may get flurries on Sunday, get down into the teens Sunday night. And I've heard, I guess it's either next Thursday night. I think we're supposed to get down to 14 degrees, so winter's not over. Hey,
hold on here a second. Let me take that a little farther. 11 degrees Thursday, 9 degrees for a low on Friday. All I can tell you is this: we're 40 days away.
That cold.
Yeah, we're 40 days away from the opening of the Major League Baseball season. But who's counting?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Hey, George, one quick thing, and then I'll get to primarily what I'm talking about. I didn't know if you had heard this. I didn't realize this. Somebody mentioned, I'd heard mentioned today that if Steve McNair was alive, today was his birthday, he would have been 52 today. I heard that earlier today.
Wow. 52.
Yeah. Yeah. And George, as far as the whole thing, and I'm sure you heard about this, that there was a little bit of, I guess, was some sort of social media situation between, I guess, C.J. Johnson of the Eagles and Swifties, and it went back to Eagles fans where apparently he said something about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship. Then the Swifties apparently went after his mother's restaurant, and then the Eagles fans came to hurt the fans. And it's just insane. But also, I was going to ask you, George. There's reports, and I'm sure you've heard this, that the Chiefs are telling Travis Kelce needs to make a decision, I guess, by March 14th, which is 4 weeks from today, of whether or not he's coming back, because he's got 1 year left on his contract, supposed to get something like $17 million, and he's due $11 million bonus. And the reason is, of course, they want to know what they need to do, because I've heard 2 tight ends supposed to be in the draft and everything. And, of course, you want to give the guy all the time you want. I don't know what's going to happen in that situation, but just wanted to get your thoughts on that, whether or not he comes back or will they give him more time or whatever. But they apparently want a decision 1 month from today, and whether or not he'll make it that quick, I don't know. Guys will get off. Happy Valentine's Day. Y'all have a good weekend. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Eric, same to you. Billy, I don't see that they have any choice. First of all, Travis Kelce is not retiring.
No.
Take this to the bank. He can still play at too high a level. He loves the attention. This is not when he's retiring. Now,
yeah, if he would have won the Super Bowl, then maybe he goes out on that note and rides into the sunset. But this would be a bad note to go off of. That's one of the worst games of his career.
That said, I don't believe that his skills have eroded to anywhere close to the level. His Super Bowl looked pretty bad, but several of the balls that he was asked to catch were down at his shoe tops because Mahomes was under, total duress. So I don't think Kelce is retiring. The Chiefs thing is they don't have any choice. They've got to know by then because there's some big dates. Free agency, you had it in the update. I don't have the exact date, but here's what I do know. The next tight end on the Chiefs roster is Noah Gray. Nothing against Noah Gray. He can't carry Kelce's jock. He's a nice player. He's nowhere near Travis Kelce.
Yeah, free agency begins March 10th, so just under a month. You'd imagine that. I mean, there's gonna be some thought that goes into this, but yeah, I don't think he's retiring.
Here's the thing. I get at the end of the season, players are exhausted. In their case, what have they played? Like 20 games? All I can tell you is this. If you ever get the chance to be down on an NFL sideline, it'll shock you. It is a legalized train wreck. Now, I don't know who Jim is. Maybe I do. Jim, if you're there, fire away.
How we doing today, Plaz?
Good.
Good. I got two things for you. One's a question for you, but first is a statement. Plaz, I'm a big fan of Mr. Derrick, and I don't know what you pay him, but I think he needs a raise.
Yeah, well, good. You pay him. and let me tell you where that's coming from. Okay? And I don't know, what relation you are to Billy. It sounds like you may be one of the 50 million Derricks that's out there. But we're at about the point here where, everybody has to get paid. And, if I had unlimited funds, Billy would get more. And Billy knows that. I'm with Jim. Yeah, well, both of you can go dance off into the sunset.
Appreciate it, Jim.
Well, Plaz, I'm not a Derrick, but you do know Billy is a loyal Catholic, and them Catholics love to have babies. So there are about 50 million of them out there.
Right. What is that? Let me ask you this though: would he do better if the boss was Catholic as opposed to Greek Orthodox?
Does seem to be a rivalry there, doesn't it? Historically speaking.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see this being on TNT. It's the Catholics versus the Greeks tonight on TNT.
Hey, that sounds like a match that I would pay to see, George. But question for you. I know you were just talking football. I'm a big baseball guy. Guys are starting to report to spring practice or spring training. And I have a question for you. In your prime, how many at-bats do you think it would take you against prime Smoltz to get a hit?
It would never happen.
What about a foul tip?
Look, who's kidding who here? This guy was, when his arm was healthy, and toward the end it wasn't, he was filthy. And you look at when he was a closer, when he went from Cy Young winning 24 games to then going to the bullpen where he could just let it all loose for an inning, he was filthy. I wouldn't get anywhere close to him.
All right, follow up. What about Maddox?
Now, you might have something. I might have to inch up on the plate because looked like he used about 1.5 feet on the outside corner. That's an interesting question. Here's the thing, though, and for those people who've never gotten to do this, get behind a batting cage during batting practice, and somebody that you think is throwing gas, you find out later is 88 on the radar gun. It looks a lot easier to hit from that center field camera, but behind home plate, whoo, it's nasty.
George, that's all I wanted to know. Love the show. Love you, Mr. Derek. Thank you for the call.
Jim, great to hear from you.
Yeah. Something tells me Jim's related to Billy.
Jim is not related.
Yeah, that was a nice try. We'll go to the break. If Billy's smart, he'll listen. If he's looking for more money, he needs to listen to Plaster Bet of the Day. I've got 2 winners coming up. Stay tuned.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a massive weekend of college hoops. We've got what is it called? The Four Nations?
Four Nations tomorrow night. U.S., Canada, 7 o'clock.
Daytona 500 on Sunday, hopefully, as well. They moved it up, try to avoid some of that bad weather. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Let's take a look at what happened last night. It was only one last night.
Yes.
Nebraska -1.5 did not work, and you're trying to avoid a 4th straight loss.
Thank you.
What's going on?
It's called gambling. You do it long enough, these things are going to happen. Okay, so the big game tomorrow is in Tuscaloosa. Alabama against Auburn. Auburn ranked number 1 in the country. Bama is number 2. It's the first time the SEC has ever had this distinction. I'm going with Alabama for one reason and one reason only. They're at home. They will play this like a Super Bowl. This will have an Iron Bowl kind of feel. And unless Auburn gets out and takes that crowd out of it, Alabama's going to win. Now, Auburn's going to return the favor at the end of the regular season. And then, if we're lucky, a third matchup will take place in Nashville at the SEC tournament. I think there's a chance these teams are going to play 4 times. I think they are that good. Auburn is better than Alabama, but because it's in Tuscaloosa, we are taking the Crimson Tide.
I'm going War Eagle.
Well, I don't really care.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. See, but you'll never, when you lose,
stick my neck out on
we'll
line,
never hear.
yeah.
We'll never hear from you on Monday. Okay, the other game, a late entry. I'm taking Missouri. They are for real, and it's taken me a while to admit it. Missouri is really good. Georgia is improved, but as the season has gone along, Georgia is starting to lose fire. Asa Newell really good player, but not enough around him. Take Missouri. They are legit, and they will cover in Athens. Billy?
I like Georgia. They're desperate.
I don't care what you think. Hey, have a good weekend.
You too.
Same to all of you. Drive safely. Stay out of the rain. We'll be back with you on Monday.